Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Mr. Video Game Super Show live, as brought to you by Dead Sun Entertainment. Clap your hands, say yeah. Woo! Everything going fine. Totally didn't have to say that twice.
I I can't do both of those at the same time.
Oh, that is a lot going on. Clapping hand and saying yeah. It's, respectable, respectable.
Yeah, I know my limitations.
Either way, I am Slacker Kite, the man running the show behind the scenes here. As always, we stream live on Thursday evenings at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/Dead Sun Entertainment. Of course, going live after to youtube.com/CBGB Games for anybody who wants to catch the video follow up to the show, and soon maybe a podcast service thing? I don't know. We're working on it, trying to get the bugs out. Anyway, who's got two thumbs and made affiliate? It's Lindsay, aka Merowin.
Woohoo! Hi.
What's it like to have emotes and things and be somewhat respectable?
Emotes and things are awesome. Somewhat respectable. The jury's still out on that one.
And ask him after the stream for what variety of the Switch he comes in. It's Brian, aka Wonder Boy.
It is lavender. It has always been lavender. It always will be lavender. Fuck your yellow. Give me lavender. I'll take turquoise. That one's okay.
Mm.
But we riot until lavender.
I've always seen you as a lavender, especially in them pants. You know what I'm talking
Exactly. It's always the pants.
about. We've got a full show for you guys today. How's everyone been this week?
Oh, no real complaints, honestly. Just a lot of busy, keeping up with stuff. Just staying on top of people being weird in the video game industry, as we do.
A very, very weird industry. I've found that the more that I follow on Twitter, the more that I realize that this industry talks to itself, and it's so fucking weird.
Oh yeah, no, everyone knows everyone. It's great in a lot of ways, but it's also like just a giant echo chamber in some ways too.
I want you guys to know me too. Anyway, Brian, since you're the first to speak up, have you been playing anything going on?
I haven't really had much of a chance to play anything new this week. I did dip back into Apex Season 2 a couple more times this week. Still rad, still fun. But other than that, no, nothing really new. There's been a couple of things pop up. I did notice the Dr. Mario mobile game pop up in my Google Play Store today, and I was curious about that, but I haven't really had a chance to install it and check it out.
We'll
So
talk about
yeah,
that in a
I'm
minute.
yeah, I'm sure we will, because I know I'm not the only one who saw that.
Mm-hmm. Lindsay, what you been up to? What you seen lately?
Still a lot of Armajet.
Okay.
It's actually the community that pushed me to affiliate. They decided Monday night, no, she's making affiliate.
Aw.
And so they all showed up and we had a wicked time.
All of them?
A good solid chunk of them, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Shout out to Armajet devs.
Armajet devs, the players, like I've said it the entire stream on Monday, and I will say it again. They are the best community I have ever encountered in any online gaming. But I also have been taking some time to play Warframe again because I finally got Wisp, and she's one of the newer frames and is probably the most OP thing on two legs. And it's just absolutely ludicrously fun to play.
Rad.
Nice.
So any of the new stuff out of TennoCon, has that been implemented into the game yet, or
Not yet.
Okay.
Empyrean, which also includes Railjack. Railjack is going to be a blast because basically you get to pilot a ship, a huge ass battleship through space, and then one person stays with the ship to run support from that ship while the rest of your party goes plunging into an enemy ship to take out the people and targets inside.
Hmm.
That's coming soon, very soon, and I am so ludicrously excited for it.
You can hear it in your voice.
Just seeing stuff like this come out of a free game
It's
is
fucking crazy.
amazing. And they're also doing an entire graphical rework of the game as well, so they're making it even more pretty.
Ooh, and that's already a
Jesus.
pretty game as it is. So,
Right?
all right. So, I've actually been doing a little bit of gaming myself here. As alluded to previously, Dr. Mario World has come out to the Google Play Store, and oh boy, I've never been as let down. Anyone that knows me knows that
Oh no.
I love Dr. Mario. It's one of my favorite games. N64 version's great. It's a wonderful multiplayer game usually. Instead, it's been replaced. If you can see the stream right now, uh, your your pills instead fall up very slowly, and the major mechanic is you only get X number of pills to complete a stage in, and you have to complete the stage with this number of pills. And sometimes you get like these blocks, like they're showing here, that surround your area, and the only way to know what's behind a block, sometimes there's viruses behind the block, sometimes there's goodies behind the block, is to blow up the block itself by completing a combo of pills or viruses or whatnot, at least three of a kind, in order to blow that up. Or your viruses may be encased in ice, which means that you have to clear that chain of viruses twice in order to first de-ice them and then clear the viruses. Or the thing that you're trying to get to may be in a cage. In order to get through the cage, you have to first, you got it, link up your pill to that cage to make a combo, and then you can get whatever's in the cage by, yet again, making that chain. Do you see where I'm going here?
They made Dr. Mario needlessly complicated?
Yeah, it's slow and boring. It's a great multiplayer game because in the multiplayer it is literally just drop the pills, make your pill chain virus combos, and you occasionally throw junk back and forth to your opponent, and that's great. But the actual Dr. Mario gameplay sucks a devil's ass.
Hmm. Damn.
Oh, that's saddening.
Maybe if
Now,
you enjoy slow puzzle games, it may be up your end, but if you're looking for Dr. Mario, this ain't it.
here's my question.
Mm.
If this was not a Dr. Mario game, this is some other like original franchise or anything else, that kind of catered to this play style, would it still be as terrible as you're saying it is, do you think?
Uh, I think so, and here's my problem with it is that there's not the graphics. I mean, you're kind of seeing everything here. There's not an extreme amount of polish to the game itself. It's not as pretty as other mobile games that Nintendo has put out, like Dragalia Lost or even Mario Run. The interactivity feels a little bit bland in the first place. I think if it was not the Dr. Mario name, it wouldn't be doing as well as it's doing right now. It's like first on Google Play and iOS stores, but we'll see how long that actually runs in first. It's at
Hmm.
least outperforming the Harry Potter mobile game that recently came out, so that's a
Wow.
positive.
That's surprising, actually.
That's really sad. Like, I've been playing the Harry Potter game and I'm finding it better. And I'm sorry if you guys want to just yell at me for this. I'm finding it better than Pokemon Go was.
I don't blame you.
I won't. Yeah, I won't yell at you for that. Everybody has a preference.
It's just like it's more interactivity instead of, oh, look, throw a ball, throw a ball, throw a ball. It's holy crap, I actually have to do a spell sigil thing, and like you've got to approach different things different ways, and it feels more finished.
Yeah, that was my problem with Pokemon Go as well, is that there isn't a lot to really do as far as, yeah, it's a little harder to catch different things, but you're always throwing a ball at the thing until it's weak enough to get inside the ball. Meh.
I don't know. Like I might still give this a shot because like it's not Dr. Mario like
Mm.
in the way that we understand it to be, but I don't mind a more methodical puzzle game. I just wonder like what's like the difficulty curve, like how quickly does it ramp up, that sort of thing. Like, are the free to play mechanics going to be like super frustrating, like they were in Super Mario Run?
Oh, they're
Um,
worse in this than
oh,
Run.
great!
Uh,
Hooray!
yeah, like you
Damn it!
only get like you get a maximum of 6 hearts, and if you have to repeat a level, you lose a heart, and it's basically a Candy Crush difficulty, right? That without items, some levels are really fucking difficult, and then without items, some levels just fucking breeze by and make you feel great about yourself.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, and in
Uh,
order to get an assistant or a new doctor, you have to randomly win that doctor by getting up 40,000 coins or 100 diamonds. Diamonds, of course, are the special, money actual spend stuff for this game.
the real world currency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever trades from real world currency to in-game currency. So you
Yeah.
have to randomly earn it, and you even if you've won like Dr. Mario before, even if you started off with Dr. Mario, you can win Dr. Mario again and power up your current Dr. Mario until you get 9 Marios, and then you can get whatever the hell. So,
So
random
wait,
chance anything.
you have to get 9 Mario's before you can get another one.
No, you have to get 9 Marios to like get a like each Mario you get, for instance, is a higher ranked Mario that can do more. It's a slightly
Okay.
more powerful Dr. Mario.
Okay, I got you now. Well, that makes me sad.
Yeah, so if you really want to play as Dr. Toad, you may be going at this for a while. But you can start off as Dr. Mario, Dr. Peach, or Dr. Bowser. So that's cool.
Ooh, Dr. Bowser.
Mm-hmm. Bowser
All
in a
right.
lab coat is almost worth the price of admission, which is free, so.
Well, yeah.
But that wasn't the only game that I have played. I'm also a big fan of ActRaiser, so I tried out Soul Seraph as well. It's a $15 game. It's available on basically everything. Um, and it is also okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, that's a better reaction than you gave Dr. Mario. So.
Yeah, let's move forward in the video from this quick look that I found. The side scrolling is basically what you would remember from ActRaiser. It's a little slow. Your character does feel like his feet are basically full of cement, but that's fine.
Hmm.
That is the feel of this era of game that they're emulating here, and I'm not totally mad at it. You get a double jump, you get multiple spells that you unlock as you go through the game, and you get like a little back jump thing. So, while you're attacking, if something's about to attack you, you hit the A button and you fly backwards a little bit. So that's all fine. I don't actually mind the side-scrolling part so much. It's when you get to your actual town building, you start out with this little fire, and you have to build resources that can only be built along this road. And this
Hmm.
road is where enemies will come down. It's pure tower defense. So you're building up
Oh no.
houses, you're building a road to get to a logging camp, and there are only so many trees in the way to build different types of defenses. And enemies will genuinely only come along that stone path towards your place, and 8 hits on your camp, and you have to start over.
Wow. I was not expecting this to have tower defense mechanics in it.
I mean, the original had some amount of tower defense, but also you were being active at the same time, right? You were, actively shooting enemies while also telling your citizens how to build an ActRaiser. Instead, in Soul Seraph, you have no real communication at all with the villagers. They never really talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of say, "Hey, build here," and suddenly you're like, "Hey, I think we should build over here." You use your magic spell to say, hey, like they're doing here, it should rain, or I should spend some of my mana to build a soldier to protect the fire. Okay, you can do that. As well, the mana spell to rain down, and because you have to rain in order to fertilize the land, and then you can build a farm. If that doesn't sound needlessly complicated, yeah, and you basically draw an area, and if you don't get all of the squares perfectly fertilized in that area, you cannot build your farmland.
Hmm.
And you can't build outside of a couple of squares away from where you've built previously. So if you haven't evolved terribly far down the road, then you just have to keep building shit down this road.
Sounds like a lot of hamstrings there.
It's mighty tedious. It is not what I would call difficult. You're just kind of, building your encampments against different type of enemies that may come down and making sure you're prepared for all of these enemies that may come. And then building a temple near where the enemy base is so that you can go in and do the side-scrolling part.
Hmm. Yeah, this seems like it has all like the worst elements of a RTS tower defense, like any of that stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
the reviews that I have read so far have been, let's say, slightly meaner than I've been.
I would imagine. Lord.
You're basically spot on. The city building is a weird combination of RTS and tower defense at the same time. And then your side-scrolling battle is oldie clunky gaming type thing. It is the early SNES slash Genesis build of how you fight, and that is very much, you can tell they're doing that on purpose, and that's fine. But it doesn't
Hmm.
feel very quality or like they really upgraded anything for a modern audience.
Yeah. Well, that's
And
a shame.
I can understand going for the whole nostalgia factor. Because, I mean, a lot of us like going back and playing those older games. But at the same time, like, we acknowledge that those older games, while awesome, still had room for improvement. It is now an era where improvement is possible. Please improve.
No, I completely agree. Like the first thing that popped in my head when we started talking about this game was the remake of Strider from a few years ago. Another game from the Genesis era that got a lot of love and a lot of nostalgia. And the fact that that game, when it was remade, like it kept a lot of the elements of the original game. It still felt a lot like the original game, but it updated itself enough to fit within the modern landscape of the video game industry. This seems like this just feels like a reskin with more bad elements added to it in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Like I'm sure I could
it's
find an emulator and play ActRaiser right now if I wanted to play something like this. Like, and I don't know. I just feel like that would feel better than what I'm watching right now.
yeah, I genuinely would rather go back and play ActRaiser than play this again. I may play a little bit more, but I'm more enjoying the free game that I got on Epic, the Slime Rancher. So play
You know,
that
Slime
probably
Rancher,
instead.
dope.
It's a good game.
Slime Rancher is adorable.
All right, y'all ready to move on to actual news?
Let's get it.
All right.
Woo.
Starting with the story of the week that everyone's been talking about, the Nintendo Switch Lite came out of nowhere to be announced. It is a Nintendo Switch that is dockless. You cannot dock it. The Joy Cons do not detach from it, so it's all one giant unit. The D-pad is a little bit better on it. Instead of the original, it's $100 less. Um, all of your controllers, like your Pokemon Plus, your Switch Pro controller, that sort of thing, will all attach as it normally would. There's no kickstand to it, that sort of thing. This announcement came out of nowhere, which is weird for basically like a few weeks out from E3 to announce the Switch Lite.
I mean, I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, maybe in terms of like how we've like looked at E3 for a long time, yeah. But the modern interpretation of E3, like this makes total sense. Like companies doing stuff on their own time, whenever they can have more of the spotlight. I think this would have gotten buried underneath a whole bunch of other stuff if they had talked about this at E3. So it makes total sense. And real quick before we move on to other stuff with this new system, I just want to backtrack real quick. Yo, thank God they put an actual D-pad on this thing. Jesus Christ, those like 4 directional button Joy-Con sort of pseudo D-pads that they had on those, like those are so frustrating to play with. Not to mention you're trying to control like the four face buttons as a D-pad on another Joy-Con controller. Like that was the worst aspect of those controllers, and I'm just really glad that they actually made the commitment to put a real D-pad on this thing.
Oh yeah, it's not coming to Joy-Cons. They've already said that there's going to be no change to the Joy-Cons that already exist. But I would recommend Hori makes a $20 Joy-Con that attaches to the side that basically does this. It's the same idea. There's no IR, no rumble for both this and like the Hori pads that you can get. But
Hmm.
for $20, it's pretty nice and it feels pretty good. So I might recommend it.
Yeah, I'm just glad this has pro controller support because, like, that. I mean, if I was gonna play on the Switch, if I had a Switch, like, my first accessory investment would be a pro controller.
Yeah, but you've got a smaller screen here. You can't attach it to a TV and there's no kickstand, so
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying I'm glad that it has that support though. So if you did want to utilize that, like honestly, I can't imagine playing Smash with that. Like like if I'm getting if I'm getting the Switch and playing Smash, I need like more of a pro controller style. I mean, preferably it would be one of those with the GameCube adapters. But if this isn't plugging into a TV, that might seem a little bit harder to pull off. Um, that being said, though, I I'm excited by this a little bit, but I'm also a little perplexed. I think that if you were going to make the okay, let me backtrack real quick. If you're gonna make in like different versions of the Switch, I would have really thought that the first one would be an enhanced one with better graphical quality, that works better docked in the TV. I'm not saying that. I mean, this is perfect because they have data saying that a lot of Switch players play handheld. The majority of them play handheld. So in that way, this makes sense totally. But I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw this, I was like, "Oh, it's a new 3DS."
There is something that really bothers me about this, though. This game or this system, one, beyond being called the Switch when it doesn't switch, um, that bothers me a little. But the big thing is that the only games that it'll play are the ones that support handheld play, and not all of the games in the catalog do support that.
No, they don't. I mean, it's also not going to utilize any game that has HD Rumble included in what it needs to play. Like I know 1-2 Switch, as much as no one really plays that game, um, you can't play it on this system. Like there are definitely other things that you can't do. And to be fair, like Nintendo did get out ahead of that. I think in the eShop now, if you try and purchase a game that won't work on this system, then it gives you a warning telling you. So they're really limiting people from purchasing games that they would not be able to use.
Yeah, and Playwatch brings up some good points in that, um, you know, they they just bring new tech.
Yeah, and Nintendo, Doug Bowser in an interview basically stated that this is more for, say, like if your kids want to have a Switch, this may not sell as well as a Switch. In fact, they have no doubt it won't, but it's going to help expand their market slightly by having a cheaper Switch that you can hand off to the kids and be like, I don't care what happens to this. This is fine. This is, a little bit cheaper, so they can go scratch it up, break it, whatever. And Nintendo is committed towards working to making their games more portable over the few months until this comes out, so that if you have a Switch and a Switch Lite, your game can go between the two without the major concern.
Yeah, and that's really nice. I mean, it'll also stop the whole here, take my $1,000 phone, child, and play around with that because I'm tired of listening to you.
Oh God. Does it have games on it? No, little child, it does not. Shoo.
This is a work phone.
See, I'm totally like down with that idea because it makes sense that you would want a cheaper version of that, something that kids could. I mean, look at the color scheme of some of these, some of the models. Like, it makes sense. It looks more kid oriented in a lot of ways. That being said, though, if you're going to make a system that is aimed in that direction, I do not know how you could get that price point down to 150. I think you take away half of the functionality of the system, it should not cost more than half the price of what that thing is. I think 200 is a little bit more than it should be.
Yeah, but you look at what they're selling the DSs for, right?
Yeah, and hilariously, they're still supporting the 3DS. I'm not sure why, but the most expensive 3DS is also like $220 right now, while the entry 2DS that comes in the one solid brick, I believe, is $99. So,
Hmm. And I mean, that's fine. And honestly, like, those might be better suited for kids
mm,
than the Switch Lite in a lot of ways. Because I don't know. I just feel like for what the system is delivering, $200 is too much. That just did not sit right with me as soon as I read that. I'm like, because like I'm in the market for getting a Switch. Like,
mm.
I'm getting to a point where I would feel comfortable spending money on buying a Switch, and the Lite, yeah, some of the functionality stuff, I would like something that docks, honestly, but I could sacrifice that for something that I feel still gives me a very good experience, which the system looks like it would. I just feel like $200 is too much.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's fine for the fact that with this $200, you're still getting the Switch itself. It's mostly the fact that it's a smaller screen and different. You're not getting the Joy-Con experience that you would get with the full Nintendo Switch version. You're not getting a dock as well. And the longer that I talk, the more like, huh, maybe it should be like 179 instead. But still,
Yeah.
I love how you started out in defense of it, and just suddenly went, wait.
It's all right. We're talking about a company that still charges like $80 for a pro controller, so
mhm.
it makes sense that something might be a
Yeah.
little overpriced.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Nintendo prices as Nintendo prices. I imagine they may have gone with 199 instead of 180 or 150 on the. They'll fucking buy it. And
Well, the thing. Sorry, go ahead.
now the little Rugrats can go up to them and go, but Dad, it's $100 cheaper, and it's a lot harder to argue that one than Dad is $300.
Oh no, it's always easier to argue that.
Mm.
Like that's how I got my first Genesis. Was like in a Walmart, just like, look, this thing is like less than this thing. You know, so like I totally get that, and of course it was going to cost less. So I'm glad that they at least did that. I mean, there's no way they were going to price it the same, but I don't know. It's just there's just something that's not clicking with this system for me personally, I think.
And again, Playwatch makes a good point. Like, they're protecting their IP. If they sell for less, they'll view it as cheap. So it's all about the perceived value.
If they sell it for less, though, you get more people buying into it to buy the software where you really make your money, though.
Capitalism is great.
As much as I hate it, I understand it.
But yeah, any final thoughts over the Nintendo Switch Lite?
Uh, I mean, kudos to them to bring what the people wanted, but at the same time, I'm probably not gonna even buy one. Just I'll save for now.
My last thought is, yo, that turquoise is dope. That's a pretty
If I was
boy.
going to get one, that would be the one. That would be the one right there.
All right, let's move on to our next story. Kind of a weird one. So Xbox Germany suddenly put up a trailer for a March 3, 2020 release of Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Xbox, and then very quickly pulled it down. And Twitter was very confused. While it went down quickly, screenshots were everywhere on this. Nibel was one of the main people who pointed this out, that this leak or whatever came out, and yeah, you have this official trailer and artwork very proudly saying coming to Xbox One, to which it was shoved under, and one of the company people, yeah, here we go, Maxi Graph. We did an internal mistake in the social team. We took the video off immediately. Sorry, no announcement on our side. Big apologies for this. What?
Way to go, Maxi.
So where did you get the? There are so many fucking questions that I have.
The person in charge of social media has been sacked.
Are you reporting that, or is that just?
No, that's just my speculation because you
no.
don't screw up like this and keep your job.
Well, here's the thing. This prompted Square to respond though, because people started reporting on it, and they came out and said that they currently have no plans to bring the Final Fantasy VII remake to other platforms, which flies in the face of some of the messaging around the game itself. I think ever since announcement, it was the messaging around it was that it was going to come to PlayStation 4 first.
Mm.
It never said PlayStation 4 only, which kind of hints at a windowed exclusivity agreement with Sony, which makes sense. I mean, Final Fantasy VII is seminal to the PlayStation, but we've also seen that Final Fantasy games are not exclusive to PlayStation anymore. They have not been since I think maybe was 13 the first one that released same day on every console basically.
I believe so, because I'm pretty sure 12 launched as an exclusive.
Yeah, so like the days of PlayStation exclusivity in perpetuity for Final Fantasy is over. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Xbox would have a trailer mocked up and that they would have something to say at some point. I think putting that release date on there was the internal mistake. I don't think the trailer was the mistake at all. I think that obviously Sony has some exclusivity deal with Square for this game for some like finite amount of time. Usually that could be anywhere from 6 months to a year, I would say probably. So Xbox is probably going to come to Xbox at some point. Xbox Germany just decidedly jumped the gun here.
Yeah, that's my thought as well. That while Sony is while Enix is saying that, oh, we're only planning to launch on the PlayStation 4, that doesn't mean that they might not have other things in the works that they haven't really settled the time and date and everything for, that they're still considering their options for, etc. We don't really know that yet. There's a lot of possibilities that may come up for this, so keep your eyes out for a Final Fantasy VII remake. And if it happens, we'll go talk to Xbox Germany and we'll all have some beers and laugh.
Exactly. They have the best beers.
Beer.
All right, moving on, coming to us from TechRadar.com and Matt Hansen. I do not want you to notify me. Thank you. Windows 1.11. Microsoft has been putting this up on their Twitter for a week solid, going, "Hey, you remember Windows 1?" And everyone's like, "Why? Why the sudden weird throwback?" Turns out it's a tie-in to Stranger Things 3, which is weird because I've watched all of Stranger Things season 3, and there is no mention of a computer or Windows or fucking anything in there. It is not like Coke, where they decidedly fucking talked about new Coke in that. There was a lot of Coke drinking in that.
Somehow that doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
But it's the release date, right? Because Windows 1 came out in 85. Stranger Things 3 is in 85. Um, I'm particularly pissed off about this because, yeah, it's available for you guys. It's available everywhere. It's not available in Canada. I want to play the thing.
Can you hear the ice cream man outside of my window? It's 8:30 at night. What are you doing out here, ice cream man?
Being creepy.
Just a little bit.
That's what all ice cream men do. They be
Spoiler.
creepy.
It's not the ice cream man.
Or it's a different kind of ice cream man.
Mmm.
Nasty. Anyway. So yeah, I completely spaced on this. I did not even pay. I heard like the announcement about it, and I was like, oh, that's dumb, and then tuned completely out. So this was a tie-in to Stranger Things. Okay, that seems tangentially related, but not really. I don't know.
It's apparently done as an experiential thing. Like, you launch the app and it's pretty much like you're in Windows 1.
Mhm.
And then things start glitching. And you have to try to figure out the glitches to figure out how to get to the upside down to deal with villains and all of that fun stuff.
I see.
Yeah, it's
So
some
it'd be
weird.
fun.
Yeah, it's some weird tie-in. Basically, it's a side story to season 3 that doesn't really involve season 3, but involves some of the things that were on the side of it.
Mhm.
It's
So
really
it's
hard to explain this without actually getting to spoiler territory
so
because
it's
we just finished it last night.
see, I haven't watched it yet. So yeah. What was I gonna say? So basically, this is like a corporate ARG then.
Kinda,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But watch it. Definitely watch it. Best season ever. Watch it. Do the thing.
I'll get around to it. It'll be there.
I still like season 1 better, but meh, that's beside the point. This is a thing out there. If you are apparently in America, or several other places that are not Canada, you can go out and download a free game that is a weird ARG thing that ties into Stranger Things Season 3. Have fun.
And then tell me all about it because I want to see the thing.
All right. Our next story, G2A, we were talking about this last week, and they have stuck their fucking noses in it again by sending out pre written articles to people and asking them to publish the articles without any tags for marketing or sponsored or anything along those lines.
Yeah, this was a very strange one. other than the fact that it's G2A doing it, so it totally makes sense because they deal in fraud. Um, so basically, they sent this letter out to a few smaller scale games news outlets, and Kotaku got a hold of the email because based off of the immediate response of, "Yo, this is really shitty." So basically, the what they sent out was a pre-written article by an employee who G2A executives have since disavowed, saying that the employee did this without their approval and that this is not something they would have advised their employee to do. Um, but basically, the letter included a pre-written article about why G2 like reselling keys, game keys, isn't that bad.
Mm.
And then, like you said, they asked these outlets to run it without any mention of the article coming from G2A or any mention that it had any affiliation with it, which of course would be a crime based off of a lot of the rulings we've seen with the SEC and people not disclosing advertisement with some stuff that they've written or posted on YouTube. So yeah, the G2A, as if they could not get more shady. Like they just keep going deeper into this weird pit of just like miasma, and they just can't escape it. And the whole time they're just defending these criminal practices that have been like proven out to be criminal, but they just don't seem to get the hint.
Also, you're going to tell me that one of your advertisement people just had some money that they were able to spend without, clearing the type of advertisement that he was going after with the higher ups or anything, that he just happened to find the money that he could have spent to, ask these companies, hey, we'll give you this money if you put these ads on your websites.
Yeah, it's God.
I'm not
Like
actually
there is
sure
not.
where is G2A based out of.
It's based out of Hong Kong.
Okay.
But they have offices all around the world. Like they have like Poland. Like they do have an office in like proper China proper too.
Hmm.
But yeah,
So
they are
they're untouchable.
in some ways. Yes, I mean Hong Kong, you do have a bit more of a penetration there, but still, the current like the current financial relationship between us and any facet of the Chinese government is super problematic right now. So yeah.
What, are you laughing over my critical fail?
That the Chinese government right now is not our biggest fan, let's say, of America. So, oh boy. Anyway, back to talk
Yes.
about G2A because this isn't a politics show.
Yeah.
Uh, Go ahead.
Yes, but yeah, I mean, really, there's not really too much else to say right now, other than just like this was super shady, and there have not been any reports from what I've read of any disciplinary actions that G2A executives have taken against the employee. Um, they also did not explicitly defend the drivel that this employee was trying to sell in this article that they were shipping around to game outlets. Um, And honestly, it doesn't surprise me at all because G2A is only about one thing, and that is self-preservation. No matter how much, um, like how shitty it makes them look, and how much criminal activity that happens, like they're not going to give up their business model unless being forced. And that's why, like once again, like a lot of indie developers right now are basically saying pirate our game instead of buying it through a key that you buy off a G2A, because like we'd rather us not get anything and no one else get anything than G2A getting any kind of financial gain off of our titles. Especially because if you do buy a game through G2A's key marketplace, the developers see none of that money. So it's all fucked.
Yeah, don't buy these fucking games. Don't buy these games through G2A. And this is literally a fucking week after they already had other issues with people and bad PR. So this is bad PR stacking on top of bad PR. It's just a nice bad PR sandwich. Delicious.
It's a
I also
bad
like how.
PR sandwich, but it's getting their name out there more.
God, they're not wrong, but also just I hope that it gets their name out there in a way that makes people really start questioning it in a lot of ways. I know that's we should not expect that from a lot of the areas of the video game fan base, especially online. Because I mean, what the one thing I see people complain about in terms of the business side of things is always price
Mm.
or something. Everybody always wants something cheaper. I know that's ironic after I just spent like 5 minutes railing against the Switch Lite for being $50 more than I think it should be. But um, you know, like as long as people are gonna offer up cheaper ways to get games, people are gonna turn a blind eye to the nefarious ways that might happen. So you're just gonna keep throwing the mud on G2A every time it pops up, and maybe something will happen. Hopefully, just keep holding their feet to the fire. Ugh.
Well, thank you, Nathan Grayson, for yet again submitting something to Kotaku and then we profit off of it. Thank you, Nathan. Continuing on to the next story, this one from VideoGameChronicles.com. Activision is looking for an esports commissioner. They're actively hiring after literally firing people in the same job.
Well, okay, I think that might not be exactly what's happening.
Mm,
Because okay, so I know this was basically Johanna Fariz here was named the commissioner of the new Call of Duty league that they're starting up next year. And yeah, like she is being promoted from within the esports uh, area
mm.
in Blizzard, but she's not outright replacing anybody just yet. I think that I can't remember who stepped in for Kim Pham whenever she left as global esports director. Um, but I know that like she was not fired from what I understand. Neither was Nate Nanzer, who left as the soon to be former Overwatch League commissioner, who's heading to Epic to help them with Fortnite esports. So I'm not sure. Maybe you read something else that I didn't read. Like what's
Yeah,
going on with people being fired?
I know it was both on Kotaku and Jim Sterling also reported the same that they've been hiring people within the esports division over at Activision for the same jobs that were recently replaced. Now, it may not be the exact same city, but they are always the same job.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna do a little look see real quick. Go ahead, go ahead without me for the moment. I just need to see this real quick.
That's fine. That's fine. But it is worth some amount of interest that they are working pretty hard on getting Call of Duty more out there lately as far as esports is going. This is something that they're refocusing on, from my understanding, and we're getting a lot more out there. But Blizzard is kind of in a fucking weird place right now. They haven't put out a game that anybody really cares about in a while, mostly updates to existing games on Blizzard's part. Activision, of course, has been putting out several games. The new Call of Duty actually looks like to be pretty interesting coming up. So that may save them a little bit of added face. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing going on.
Well, I'm looking at this appointment really and going, all right, so she worked for the NFL.
Hmm.
How, I mean, she understands like community engagement and stuff along those lines, sure, but how does this qualify her for this job?
There's actually a lot of crossover, I can definitely say, between those sort of it's basically promotions. And you're also talking about promoting, especially through established places like ESPN. I did find what I was kind of looking for here on PCGame.com. A job listing. It was the Hearthstone community that was recently added
Okay.
for her.
Okay. That makes more sense in a lot of ways. Considering, yeah, okay. Well, not to say it makes more sense, but like it's making the picture clearer now. Because like there was some other stuff. There's been some discussion around like the hiring pipeline in esports. Also, I was looking at a
Mhm.
piece on Polygon that came out today that talking about that. Um, no, so Fareeze is actually a pretty good pick for this job, I would say. That her experience with the NFL and club business development is pretty spot on for what this league needs to do from the beginning. I think that this is where the Overwatch League both succeeded and failed a little bit. They actually succeeded a little bit by accident in some ways because of this. So um, the Overwatch League was really the first try at a location-based sports esports league, something that could make it more accessible to traditional sports fans, obviously. So, but the thing was, they were doing all of that without having people compete in those cities. And in many instances, a lot of these players that played for teams that were, supposedly based in Philadelphia or London or Boston, they had never even been to those cities until like halfway through the season. So like it really just built up this immediate way for fans to gravitate towards a team based off of local allegiances and stuff like that. And it was smart. It was very smart for them to do that because I think it was the next logical step in the um, kind of like mainstreamization, not a real word, but I'm using it, of esports. And it also made it very easy for them to like buddy up to ESPN and to other Disney TV channels for those big TV contracts that they now have with them. So it makes total sense that they would try that exact same thing again with Call of Duty, and I think that they have learned from some of those mistakes where you had team-based franchises that didn't necessarily feel as like the markets they were representing did not feel the same ownership over them until this year, where they've had some homestands. They just completed one in Atlanta last weekend with the Overwatch League, where they took the thing on the road. They did one in Dallas earlier in the year. So they're starting to branch out and actually have people play home and away games in some. And I think that's only going to get more and more as the league goes on. And so understanding that infrastructure of how to build that sort of system and putting someone who understands that in terms of like probably the most popular league in American traditional sports, like it's a very good place to be for a league to jumpstart right into where the Overwatch League is now and not have the growing pains of that first season where you're having this detachment from teams that are like supposedly based in Minnesota or Atlanta, and all your games are played in Los Angeles. You know, so I think it's a really good choice. I obviously will have to wait and see how it plays out, but I couldn't think of a better person.
All right.
That's a fair point. And I mean, like, so this could actually go a very long way in making esports more accessible for
I
people too, because like I know I've tuned into the odd broadcast on Twitch, but have I ever been to an actual tournament to physically sit there and watch? No.
Yeah, and I think Overwatch League is already doing that. I think the grand finals last year, I mean, they somehow wrangled DJ Khaled, who had no idea what kind of show he was playing, for a halftime show at the grand finals of the Overwatch League, but they got him. They're having some mainstream, like they're having some mainstream crossover here, like major mainstream crossover that other esports leagues would die for, or at least some of them would die for. I think some people within esports are very happy with the niche that they have, especially considering that a higher stage means higher like policing on conduct and higher regulation in some ways. So there's opinions across the board, I think, but obviously, like, this is the route that Activision Blizzard wants to go with their esports leagues, and like Fariz is a very good choice to lead that sort of initiative going forward. My issue with the Call of Duty League is the fact that it's Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is nowhere near as fun to watch being played as Overwatch League is. Personally,
I'd rather watch like a Rainbow Six League.
they have that. It's pretty fun, actually.
All right, moving on to our next follow-up of previous stories. Shenmue 3 continues to raise the ire of its Kickstarter backers. Now, and I want to keep in mind they didn't promise any of these things in the original listing for it, but there's going to be DLC in a deluxe edition that the people who bought it will not get. Now, people who bought the Kickstarter version are going to get special items that only Kickstarter people are getting, but also, if you buy it through Amazon, you're also getting certain special items that people who bought it through Amazon are only getting. And people are just up in arms about the fucking Shenmue 3 launch, and no amount of Epic money is going to fix that right now.
Oh hell no, it's not.
I
Like-
mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
this wasn't Epic's choice though. Like, I will definitely say that it was WiseNet. But I mean, Epic with their whole exclusivity thing and everything along those lines, Epic could have at least gone, "Hey guys, we're gonna make sure you all get this."
Well, the problem with that is that correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if like the exclusivity with Epic is only for the PC.
Yes.
And this game is also coming to PlayStation 4. So there's no way that they could have actively made that right for everyone who was a backer on this game, because many of them are probably going to get this on PlayStation 4. So like I don't put this at the feet of Epic, honestly. This isn't Epic's thing. Epic stepped in to be like, "Yo, we'll help you out with this financial thing," but like if this but you gotta remember, they stepped in to fix a problem that East created for themselves in terms of like not offering refunds to Kickstarter backers.
Yes.
And once again, East is creating a problem for themselves in this. I'm not saying that they are wrong to do this because, like you said, there was no mention of a season pass or DLC content that was going to be made available to Kickstarter backers via their financial backing for the game. And also another figure that we should point out is that a vast majority of the people who backed the game on Kickstarter pledged $60 or less, which basically gave them a physical copy of the game with a case that is exclusive to Kickstarter backers. So we're talking about people that didn't even necessarily give a amount of money that would have entitled them to further content if they decided to make it. And obviously East decided to make it because it's video games. Like, that's just the marketplace now. You make something that you can charge a season pass for, no matter like, yeah, like some of the commentary around season passes is getting like really shitty, and it's causing some people to abandon that monetization structure. But we're talking about the people that are making another sequel to Shenmue. They only deal in archaic structures. So it makes complete sense that they would be trying to still shell out deluxe editions along with the season pass, along with DLC content, And yes, it is. I understand the frustration, having to pay more money for something to get like the full spectrum of something that you already pledged money for, but at the same time, you didn't pledge enough. You didn't pledge enough money to get that stuff automatically, Like you can whine all you want on the internet, but like that's just the way that the system works right now.
But it's also a case of, so like, I'm seeing here, 50,000 have pledged $60 or less. But you're telling me, though, would this game still have been able to be made without those 50,000 people?
Probably. I would honestly say yes, because it would be a little bit harder, but this was still something, especially PlayStation wanted to kick it up because Shenmue is definitely a beloved title amongst its fans. So
Yeah, Sony was already putting money in whenever the Kickstarter was running. That was public knowledge. So like, yeah, it would have probably taken longer for East to get the game up and going, but like there was a vested interest from Sony to get that thing going. And like, yeah, like they could have offered those sort of add-ons in the Kickstarter, and I'm sure the where this gets shitty for me is if they moved some of the content that was going to be in the full game to those DLC packages.
mhm.
You know, if that's what they're doing, yes, that is super shitty, and these people have a legit complaint. But we won't know that until like either someone at East talks or the game comes out. You know, if there's like significant chunks of story, which is the only thing that Shimu is important for is story. If there's significant chunks of that is held behind a separate paywall, then yes, there's a legitimate complaint to be filed here, I think.
Yeah, and let's face it, a lot of people have gotten used to Kickstarters along the lines of Hollow Knight, The Messenger, games like Shovel Knight. Feel weird mentioning two nights in one go, but that have given additional content for free post release to games that have gone over well as far as indie titles have gone. And you're not always going to get that. It's not a promise. So
No, it's awesome when it happens.
I think Yeast messed up a lot in their marketing on this. This is something no one but themselves can save themselves from. The marketing on the Kickstarter, I think, had a lot of issues. There were people angry from day one because there were so many people that said, well, no, it's a Kickstarter backed thing. Sony isn't putting money into it. Well, Sony put the majority of the money into this game. A much larger amount than the Kickstarter was able to get. So, yeah. And then Epic funded it. And then I believe another company helped to fund this game. I forget who, but I think there is one more that had some amount of funding into this game. So yes, whole shit tons of money went into making Shenmue 3. And I said it last time, and I'll say it again. This game had better pretty goddamn good for the amount of money that various companies have thrown into this to try to get this to launch and stand up to Shenmue 1 and 2.
Yeah, Deep Silver's the other company.
That's it, Deep Silver.
Yeah, they're publishing it on PlayStation 4.
So yeah, that about covers it for Shenmue 3. Don't suck. Don't suck. Please don't suck. Make it worth the $60 for people.
It's Shenmue. It's gonna suck regardless.
I
Sorry.
I
Personal
didn't like it.
bias.
I didn't like it either, but a lot of people fucking love it. I don't understand. I have better simulators of driving weird machines around. I'd rather play those.
The only thing good about Shenmue is that jacket. I want that jacket.
Well, if you pledged $10,000 or more, you could have had it.
Wait,
I'm-
what?
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the Kickstarter page for it.
Oh my god.
$2.6 million, or what was it? $3.7 million stretch goal to get French subtitles.
Sweet stretch goal. Jesus.
Right? But yeah, it was, where was it? We pledged $10,000 and you get his jacket, the original jacket worn by Masaya Matsukaze for all of the Shenmue press events 14 years ago. What fan has not seen this legendary article of clothing before? And a special video message for you by Yu Suzuki, and be named as a special sponsor in the credit, which includes the $5,000 or $500 reward as well, which was something else. But like 10 grand, you get the jacket. 6 grand, you get his watch.
For 10 grand, I want the jacket and a percentage point of the returns, damn it. That is way Jesus Christ.
You could also pledge 10,000 and get to have dinner with Yu Suzuki in Monaco or LA, and get a replica jacket.
So wait, so okay. So I can pay $10,000 and get the event worn jacket, or I can pay $10,000 and get free dinner. I hope it's free dinner and a replica of the jacket.
Yeah.
Yo, give me that dinner. Give me that dinner, that jacket, and hopefully a free trip to Monaco. I doubt that.
No, I'm
Yep.
pretty sure the trip is at your own expense.
God damn it. What the fuck? I could fly myself to Monaco and buy myself a jacket that sort of looks like that for way less than $10,000. That is some
Right?
bullshit.
And I mean, like 10,000 for that. But I was also looking at back last or earlier this year, Critical Role did their Kickstarter, and their $25,000 reward was you got to go for the premiere, a dinner with the cast, a tour of the animation studios, and it was all expenses paid trip to LA.
Yeah, see, I still think that's a little overpriced, but at least you're like all expenses paid. You're not putting any extra financial stuff on the person who's giving you that money. So yeah, that's the best way to go for it.
Because like flight and hotel in Monaco, that's gonna run you at least 2.5.
It's like a yearly salary. That whole trip.
Yeah. Absolutely no reason Merowyn would know that at all.
Not at all.
Anyway, moving on. The last of our follow-up stories is on Ion Maiden, now being branded as Ion Fury when it launches in August, because the band Iron Maiden threw up a funk because the logo looked too much like the Iron Maiden logo, and but there's a skull in here, and we have a skull. So, in order to get around all that, it's now Ion Fury.
Why? Why bend? I mean, I played Iron Maiden's mobile game. It's bad. It's really bad. The day we first talked about this, I actually downloaded it and tooled around with it after the stream, and oh my god, is it bad? The writing could have been done by like elementary school kids. I don't know what they were afraid about.
You gotta get that sweet money when you're that far into retirement. Who knows where you can sue next? So why not the makers of a retro style first person shooter?
Yeah. Now this game still looks like it could be fun. My main thing though is that as soon as this name change happened, I immediately went and Google searched anybody else who might make a claim against them in the same way that Iron Maiden did for Ion Maiden.
Hmm.
So I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. I really hope that USA Today best-selling author Bella Jewell does not throw up her arms and cry foul about somewhat co-opting the name Iron Fury from her book series called the Iron Fury MC trilogy. The first of which is called Whiskey, which the front cover of this book is just a shirtless dude with his abs and a skyscraper and some seagulls, and it is all kinds of raunchy.
Harlequin romances.
Yeah.
Hell
This game looks very, because I'm watching this stream, so I'm watching this trailer along. It looks very N64 era.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. There's a reason why that 3D Realms logo came up before this trailer ran.
Yeah, this is a Duke Nukem 3D throwback without Duke Nukem.
I might want to like check this out at some point just for the nostalgia factor of it, because it looks like it'd be interesting.
No, it does look pretty dope. honestly.
Yeah, I'm definitely for it. I might give it a look when it comes out. I've definitely got my eye more on Metal Wolf Chaos, but
But
this is
boom.
nice too. All right.
Oh, apparently it's in early access right now. So if you wanted to drop $20 US, you can get in that right now.
We'll see. We'll see. If I have cash before the actual release, I might wait for actual release though.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Fraser Brown of PC Gamer Magazine. Moving on back to our buddies over at Game Informer and Rebecca Valentine. Facebook is after Ubisoft IPs for Oculus exclusives. There's been a lot of fights recently for exclusivity, and apparently Facebook's joining in that too for the Oculus that a lot of people have.
Playwatch and I were talking about this earlier today, and I mean, the fact that they've signed for Assassin's Creed and Splinter Cell, that could be really cool. Unfortunately, we have a Vive. We don't have the Oculus.
Hmm.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, your game for the Vive will not go over to Oculus and vice versa.
Some of them are cross platform, some of them, but not many. Oculus has been pretty, like, if it's been released first for Oculus, it's pretty tight on this will only work with the Oculus. Because, like, Star Trek Bridge Command, uh, that one plays, and as much as it pains me to say it, plays best for Oculus because with Oculus, with the way their controllers are, you have independent control of each finger on your
Hmm.
hands versus with the Vive, it's you're kind of ham fisting everything.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, this sort of makes sense. Like you were saying, like there was a lot more sharing between HTC and Oculus in the first generation of these new VR headsets. But with the launch of the Oculus Quest, the standalone headset, um, it makes sense that Facebook would try and kind of corner the market a bit now that they really have a chance to. Like to my knowledge, I don't think HTC has a standalone like wireless headset right now. Um,
Not yet. They did release the Pro version, I think it was last year, and it had like a built-in headphones and the mic was improved and it was uh tuned better to do augmented reality.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, typically if I'm playing VR, I want to get away from the world, so the augmented reality doesn't really apply.
yeah.
But like something with like the Microsoft HoloLens where it was designed for AR, then yes. Wholeheartedly yes.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, yeah, these make sense in a lot of ways. These moves do. I mean, like they were able to move. I don't know how they were able to move $5 million in software sales for the Quest headset. Um, just in like the first 2 weeks. That's crazy numbers to me. I know that the Quest, like the price point is much lower, so it's a better barrier to entry for a lot of people with
Hmm.
VR. I also know that it caused a lot of people within the VR department at Oculus to be like, "Yo, like this is not what I signed up for," and bolt. Like there's some people within that company were like, I don't want to sacrifice like performance for, this sort of thing. Like we want to make it where we can have a standalone headset that will still produce the kind of experience that the Rift does, and that was not happening. So they're like, well, fuck it. Like the Quest is coming out. The Quest is the next thing. Like everybody look at the Quest, and a lot of
And
people there were just like, nope, not doing that anymore, and bolted. So
and I will say like VR is, I mean, the epitome of immersion, and I will admit that is something that has always bothered me with the Vive is that you have to worry about getting tangled up and tripping over your cables. But by way of shooters, like Splinter Cell could be really cool in VR. But the big thing that bothers me about shooters in VR is if you're using a rifle or something that's typically two-handed, you fire single-handed. There's no support to hold the stock of that, like the further down on that gun, and it throws you a little bit, and it also screws with your aim too, because VR is inherently very almost overly sensitive. So
Mm.
any little tremor in your hand comes through tenfold. So shooters I've always found very, very, very difficult in VR. Like I've played Horde mode in Arizona Sunshine, which is a zombie shooter, and aim is hard. Aim is very hard. Like I can go to the actual gun range and hit bullseyes. Do you think I could hit a zombie's head that was 2 feet in front of me? No.
No, and I think that point is exactly why Assassin's Creed and Tom Clancy, or I don't know why I say Tom Clancy Splinter Cell, just Splinter Cell. That's why these two franchises would be perfect additions for to a VR library, because Assassin's Creed, you're not dealing with firearms. You're dealing with like hand-to-hand combat for the most part there, whenever you are in combat. And then Splinter Cell, you know, granted, I did not play some of the later Splinter Cell games where they became much more about, where they increased like the weapon repertoire, but like original Splinter Cell, like actual Splinter Cell, was really built around you have this silenced pistol that you can do tranquilizing stuff with too, and everything else is just like sneaking and gadgets and stuff. It did not rely on like two-handed weapons a lot. If you wanted to build out a shooter that still could incorporate stealth elements without giving you that feeling that you were talking about in Arizona Sunshine, then I think that Splinter Cell is the perfect um, firearm-based franchise to go with.
It'll be interesting to see once they launch and to be able to take a look at actual gameplay to see if they were able to pull this off. Cuz like I know oh, what was that one game? Mirror's Edge? That was like the super first person parkour simulator
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Yeah.
That was making a lot of people fairly ill. And that wasn't VR. So, with all the parkour elements of Assassin's Creed, it kind of worries me to see how they're going to deal with VR sickness.
Well, the good thing about Assassin's Creed is that they've shown that they're able to diversify the styles of play within their worlds. I think they actually, I want to say they did release a VR component to Assassin's Creed Origins, where you could kind of like walk through, or like not maybe not walk through, but you could be deposited in those environments and kind of explore the environments a bit. It might have been more, it's basically like more of a tech demo sort of thing, but it still was really impressive to like sit there and like look at all these things around you. Not to mention like
Yeah.
some of the like educational stuff they've done with those games, and now you have like the map builder that they have, the level builder that they have now. I think you can even build quests out in that. So they've definitely diversified what you can do with Assassin's Creed. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they have some idea that wouldn't produce the motion sickness elements, at least not to the extent that regular parkour would, but would still give you some sort of authentic Assassin's Creed experience.
All right, moving on to our next, yet again from Rebecca Valentine of GameIndustry.biz. We've got Amazon Game Studio partnering with Lao on the Lord of the Rings MMO. Not a whole lot really has come out about this, just the fact that the license title for the MMO is coming up. It'll be free to play, uh, PC and console, but no launch window given for when it'll come out. It just will at some point, which is interesting for a new MMO. I don't remember the last time we had a big name new MMO come out that wasn't, Korean based.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested with this just because of the team they've pulled together. Because they are pulling people from games like EverQuest, Destiny, PlanetSide, WoW, Defiance, and Rift. And I mean, like, I've played EverQuest, World of Warcraft, and Rift, and they're all solid, pretty solid. Um, but the free to play worries me because, like, I've played Dungeons and Dragons Online. I've played Neverwinter, and it is so it's freemium
Mm.
and it's so invasive. Like in Neverwinter, you can't go 5 minutes without going, "Oh look, I got loot. Oh look, it's another loot box that I have to actually pay real world money to unlock because there's no way to actually get this currency in game."
Oh, good.
Yeah. God. Well, at
Admittedly,
least.
like
Sorry, go ahead.
um, outside of a couple of areas, but I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with free to play MMOs. Most of my MMO experience has definitely been on the to play environment. So that's going to be different for me, but I might give it a try, depending.
Yeah. My only real takeaway from this is that now we know why Amazon Game Studios restructured and laid off a bunch of devs last month.
That's also fair.
Yeah. Like this has to be one of the at least one of the main reasons why it happened. I mean, if you're committing that much talent and development manpower to this sort of thing as they're saying they are here, it also kind of makes sense why they canceled so many projects in that same announcement. So yeah, like this is the thing they're doing. This is the only thing they're doing.
Yeah, and Amazon has been definitely putting their back behind having that Lord of the Rings license. So it's not really a huge surprise that they were making a game with Lord of the Rings, but the fact that it's an MMO, definitely on the weirder side.
Yeah. It's also very telling that Amazon is developing a game that is probably not going to utilize their dev kit, so or their engine. So yeah, good on them. They might have actually finally just been like, we need to go back to the drawing board with this thing.
Also, uh, well, yeah, anyway. Let's move on to our last of these upcoming titles coming out. Not really a title, but we've got Cuphead coming to Amazon competitor Netflix. It is going to be a full show based around the cartoon and using similar Flesher-esque animation style, let's say.
I'm super excited about this. I really am. This is going to be so cool.
Oh yeah, no, this is gonna be rad. This is gonna be great. Like I think this is gonna be super fun.
Yeah, I mean, their adaptation of Castlevania has been pretty fun so far, so I'm willing to give this a go about. And really, this is just a natural progression, I think, because part of the joy of Cuphead was that it looked like something that should exist, and now it does.
Yeah, like I'm kind of surprised that that this is coming after the game, really. I mean, it seems like it should have been the other way around. Although I am seeing at the bottom of this article that they're looking at doing a show based on Ingress as well, which is I mean, the story behind that game is too much for even me to follow, and that's going to be just a mind trip and a half to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure, and I'm wanting to see if they'll actually be able to keep up the quality of the animation from the game because the game had such freaking amazing animation. Also true, I won't have to lose 20 times in a row to beat a episode of Cuphead on Netflix anymore. And finally, thank you for bringing it to Netflix and not Disney Plus or HBO Max Or any of these other fucking things that are starting to come out. Something I actually have, thank you. God.
Yeah. Although they have been saying that it is going to be hand drawn, just like the game was, so that's definitely going to keep the vintage styling that we've already come to know and love with the game. And Tommy makes a really good point in chat. You can't experience the rage through a Netflix series.
Fair enough. Alright. On to our next story of the evening. Hopefully I didn't cut anybody off there.
Oh no, you're fine.
But an interesting PC Games article on Jedi Fallen. Oh, actually, am I doing this out of order? Yeah,
No,
I
I
think
think
so.
We're
that's
good.
the next. You're good.
Okay, good. This is our final story of the evening. Anyway, uh, so in a Game Informer interview, one of the lead developers was asked, "So why did we end up with a human male?" Well, we didn't want to alienate people, so we thought we'd keep a human instead of an alien. And the main sequel trilogy already has a female protagonist, so we thought, why not a male protagonist to equal the two out?
Except the prequels were male protagonist. The original series was a male protagonist, and only the sequel series was a female protagonist. Bring me more women!
All right, that is the gayest statement I think I've ever heard coming out of your mouth, and that I applaud. Anyway, I'm I'm neither for nor against it, but as the stream straight here, me having no solid opinion on it. Also, I don't give a flying fuck about Star Wars. Doesn't mean a whole lot.
Here's my issue with it and why I threw it in our daily news pool earlier today. Um, I completely understand if you are crafting a story around a certain character and that certain character might need to be white and male to tell that story. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case in most instances, but if that's what you believe your character needs to be and that identity plays into the story itself, then that I completely understand that reasoning. I might not agree with it, but I understand it. The fact that the only reason you can give for making Cal Kestis a white male in this game is the fact that, oh well, they got Rey. That is one of the laziest responses I have ever heard from a game developer regarding this. It makes me think that Stig Osmundson was not prepared for that question because there has to be a better reason. There has to be a better reason. I sincerely hope that there is a better reason. I don't. I honestly, like, who knows? I am probably wrong, but like for him to actually come out and publicly say that was so frustrating, and it lit up a whole lot of Star Wars fans, specifically female fans and people of color. Like, it's super frustrating, especially because it's in a video game. Video games are the one medium where you can allow players to create custom characters. Like, you had that in Knights of the Old Republic. You've had that in other Star Wars games. In fact, the last Star Wars game to have a single player campaign featured a female in the role for reason, and that was done for reasons, like story reasons. It was there. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just super frustrating to see that, and then to hear like his response about like not including alien races and like not even make the protagonist an alien. That's like saying that they didn't want to alienate people by not being able to let them register emotionally with what was going on in the story because they were controlling an alien and not a human. That is the most pedantic thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
Yeah.
that shows so like such a lack of respect for your fan base to not understand like emotional resonance, despite like you might be a Twi'lek, you know? Like, it's just so dumb. It is the
Well,
worst reasoning I've heard. Sorry.
and his reasoning on that is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, you look at shows like Star Trek Discovery. Saru is an alien, and he's probably the one I have the most emotional resonance with in that series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just, yeah.
There's
I mean,
definitely better reason for you to put, like, you could say, hey, we wanted a male white character in the game. Like, think of Uncharted. If Nathan Drake had been a woman or had been Latino, that game would have played a whole lot differently.
yeah,
Might have played better.
it would have played way less imperialist.
Yeah, it would have played. It might have been better. It might have been worse. You don't know. But you have to admit, it would have been a very different game than what they made.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't understand why you couldn't give players a character creation tool to use this. Because honestly, if that's your reasoning, then there's no reason why Cal Kestis has to be Cal Kestis in the story. Yeah.
True. But I have to feel like there's more reason, and they just, in an interview, got blindsided by a question they weren't expecting to answer, which, as a side note, when your main character, you don't have enough of a reason to say, well, we wanted them to embody this particular experience, maybe you're not the person to talk about the particular experience that your main character is embodying.
He's the game director. He should be. That's his job. Like, what the fuck?
And you also look at like the rise of female protagonists in video games. Like, there's not many, but they're getting more. You had to figure this question would have come up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a longer than average Mr. Video Games, but that was the official last story of Mr. Video Games. However, we do always end Mr. Video Games with a thing that was interesting to us. It might be the greatest thing, the worst thing. It might be a person, a company, an entity. Whatever it is, you look at it and you go, yeah, that's video games. And this week's winner for Mr. Video Games is Ace Watkins, Gamer President for 2020, the brain love child of Hard Drive Magazine that has taken on a fucking life of his own over the last week. I give to you the trailer for Ace Watkins.
The fuck? Again with this shit? I swear to God, if the developers don't get off their ass and fix this game, I'm gonna find their address and I'm gonna fucking... Oh, hey America. I was just taking some time out of my busy day to share a quick gamer moment with the squad. As election season gets underway, we have seen an undeniable hunger for a gamer to run for president of this great country. Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ace Watkins, and I am ready to serve as your first gamer president. For too long, our political system has treated gamers as an afterthought. Washington has ignored the unique skills
I want to know what
of gamer
mascara
Americans.
he's using.
That ends now.
Good
We need
point.
a president who can
Yeah.
no-scope headshot the issues that divide us.
I just want to
That's
like
why I'm calling on gamers of all stripes,
smooth
PC
out his
and
hair.
console, elite
Yeah.
and casual,
Yeah.
free to play and battle pass.
But also,
new
he's a
and
gamer.
mobile, to join me
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
quest
it's on point.
to patch our
Oh
broken
yes, we're
political
supposed to be
system.
unkempt,
Let me be
even
clear.
when wearing
When
suits.
we look at the division in this country,
Yeah.
it becomes painfully
God,
obvious.
Hard Drive
We
really
need a
outdid
healer.
themselves this time.
You know, my
Yeah,
squad
this
mates
is
asked me recently. They
some
said,
decent
"Where are we
production
dropping, boys?"
value considering
And
it's
I said,
hard
there's only one
drive.
answer.
Yeah.
Into a better future for America.
Yeah, and they
Jesus Christ.
have been
I
fucking on it. They have been putting out tweets, like at least a tweet every hour, if not multiple tweets per hour.
Jesus. Yep. They're staying on brand.
And he's getting decent engagement too, which worries me.
Honestly, though, I'm perfectly fine with this getting engagement because of where it's coming from. Like Hard Drive does really good work in terms of like satire, especially centered around video games. So like I'm totally down with this. It is, oh god, it's so good.
He literally has more followers than some of the actual Democratic candidates do. At 40K,
Jeez.
that's not saying an awful lot, but also it's the truth.
Is this gonna be like whatchamacallit, like it was in Ready Player One, where everybody lives within the game and you have president within the game and it's voted for like what was it in the book? Will Wheaton and Corey Feldman. And
God, that
it's
book is
just
so
like
dated.
it was designed to be the 80s, man.
No, I
It
get it.
was all of the 80s nostalgia, but at any rate, like what is this coming to?
I would almost vote for Ace Watkins based on some of the things he said over some of the things the other Democratic candidates have actually said. So, I don't know.
All right. I'm a firm believer in the idea that all countries should be cross-platform with each other. We need to bring our people together, whether they prefer Xbox, PS4, Switch, PC, or are from Mexico. Like,
Or like there was one further up where it was I enjoy finding money in hidden blocks, but hidden money has no place in politics.
damn right.
Too much of our national discourse is centered around the size of anime titties. This is nothing but a distraction. Everybody knows we're in the era of the ass.
You can be in two eras at once.
Damn it, if we were in the States, they'd have Play Watch's vote already.
This isn't Telltale. I am running a campaign where the choice matters.
God. Too good.
But yeah.
I can't. I just can't. I mean, I'm used to sitting up here in Canada and eating popcorn and giggling my way along watching US politics self-destruct. But this is something else, guys. I might need to break out like the whiskey and everything else.
All the other things that are suddenly legal in Canada as of last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And while we're here, we had discussed another potential person for Mr. Video Games, but very quickly wanted to mention it just didn't seem appropriate to mention it as Mr. Video Games, but Timothy O'Leary, I'm not going to say his last name. Anyway,
Anselmo.
thank you.
No problem.
He was in the Madden shooting last year in Jacksonville, and this year has been nominated for an ESPY, Excellent in Sports Performance Yearly, for his competitive NBA 2K play. So,
And by the way, how cool!
Yes,
that
he actually won the SB last night. So he won that SB because basically in the shooting he got shot 3 times, including once in the hand where the bullet actually like went through his thumb.
oof.
And so he had like multiple surgeries and a lot of physical therapy and was able to actually come back and perform at a high enough level to get signed by the Minnesota Timberwolves NBA 2K League team. So, like, awesome story of perseverance and coming back from a devastating injury, and not just that, like the tragedy of that. Like, dude has gone on record as saying like he still suffers from PTSD from that day, and so like just being able to still come back and perform at such a high level after something like that, like yeah, very commendable for him to win that award. Just awesome stuff, awesome story, and shout out to O'Larry. Like, keep doing you.
Oh yeah. I do not know if I was shot at a particular place, if I could potentially come back to the same type of thing and still compete as well as he did. So, yeah, hell of a fucking job.
Oh yeah.
But that does cover everything here for Mr. Video Games for Thursday, July the 11th, 2019. Brian, any final words for us this evening?
Read my stuff. I got stuff at outsports.com. I got stuff at superherohype.com. And soon, I'm going to be returning to my old stopping grounds at pacemagazine.com.
Ooh.
And there'll be some stuff for me going up there as well. So keep an eye out for all that fun stuff.
Heck yeah, I do love me some paste. Merowyn, you got any final words for us this evening?
Just play nice, love each other. You know, we're all in this together. Show some love, show some support. Help out tiny streamers. It's like it's a community, right? And communities stand together, communities help the little guys. So show some love.
Heck yeah.
Agreed. Now I feel very selfish for what I said. So.
Nah, dude, you echoed what I've been doing for like the last 2 months of watch my shit.
Yes. At WonderBoyOTM on Twitter. I was going to keep
Thanks.
yelling it.
Thanks everyone who watched, those participating in chat, play, watch games, and Tommy. Thank you for all of the comments. We of course go live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I also will be streaming live starting this Sunday at 9 p.m. I'll probably be playing Slime Rancher on those evenings in an attempt to stream a few more hours to get this channel affiliated because, surprise, you can't get affiliated by only streaming once a week. So, to fill out our quota for Twitch, I'm going to be streaming some of that. So join me Sunday at night and I'll play some Slime Rancher and probably yell at slimes a whole lot.
It's such a cute game.
Yes, and there's no better way to push for affiliate than with a super cute game.
There you go. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Have a good night and a pleasant tomorrow.
Night.
Bye.